Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here. Check out the series, of course, you know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists. And I was so excited today because the band Princess Goes is back with a brand new record called Come of Age. We've got Michael, Matt, and Pete. Hi, guys.
What's up?
Hello.
Howdy.
It's great to meet you guys on here. Great to see you, and great to hear this new music. Honestly, it's been fun because I feel like in the grand scheme of things, you know, you guys are still sort of a new band with only a few releases, but this, I don't know, there's something about this album that feels bigger. It's like a big stepping out compared to where you've come from so far. And I don't know who wants to take this one. I apologize. I'll throw it up for the volley at the moment. But did the idea that you all had, if you had an idea at all, did that start to change? Like, how did this album sort of come to exist in the way that it has?
I think any idea, in as much as it exists, is something that we can maybe, in hindsight, talk about. We're just, you know, from the beginning, we've been on the case, you know, trying to keep up with this thing that neither Peter, Matt, nor I consciously decided to do. We didn't mean to form a band. We're just trying to keep up with it. But yeah, I think maybe for having just spent as much time as we have, we've maybe are creating things that have an even more expansive feel to them.
I feel like we've been writing since we started about 5 years ago, and we just focused mainly on writing because we were having so much fun, and that's how we all initially got together. Was just like, hey, let's, you know, just make music as friends, and it just blossomed into this thing. So I think Come of Age kind of represents an accumulation of just doing it for, you know, 4 straight years where we didn't really stop. So I feel like we honed in on what we were doing and are still honing in, always looking for new ways to create. But I think these 12 songs were kind of an amalgamation of just like doing it enough to like get comfortable and flex a little bit and see like where we could go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too, because, you know, especially, I don't know, Matt and Peter, maybe this is more for you all too, because, you know, knowing the bands that you play with and the ones that, you know, is talked about, especially in the press releases with Blondie and all the way back to the Wallflowers, et cetera. It's like, you know, I think of these as big radio bands. I mean, and all of them have their, you know, I don't know, what do you call that? More artistic moments, sure, but it feels like this gives you all something to really experiment more in your lives, maybe than you get to in those acts. Is that part of why this exists?
We all appreciate what each of us bring to the table. This album has songs that Peter, you know, has worked on himself and then brought to us, like Letting Go. Or there's also Floating, which Mike actually did and played, you know, based on a keyboard that he played on a Mellotron, and then brought it to us and kind of built it around that. And then I brought Blur in, and we kind of reworked that. So we're always just doing stuff like that, which is an enormous amount of freedom. Obviously, when you're playing in other bands with other people, you know, other principal members, you don't have that same degree of freedom that we have in our own special little band.
Yeah, it does seem like an album full of you have fun with studio tricks, I guess. Like in the beginning of Let It Go, you mentioned that one. Is that a sample, or is that an original voice? Because it feels like a sample, in that sort of way, you know.
The boundary dissolution.
Yeah, I guess it's like right at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a sample of Terrence McKenna slowed down. And I'm not sure. I think I was just grabbing different things that we thought might find their way into that. Just really in the more cacophonous moment, but Peter laid that in at the beginning, and it just felt like a nice little cue. that I don't know, encouraging the listener to dissolve whatever boundaries they're bringing to the table. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe it's, those moments where we think about it, it's sort of tying the room together, that the proverbial rug, that type. I don't know where I was going with that one, but it's in the whole sense of the album. I think that's what I was getting at. I mean, especially starting off with Offering, and there's that line, "It's all for you." Feels like that sets something up on purpose. Is there a story to the record in that sort of way?
Again, I think it's something that reveals itself in spite of any conscious intention. It's just something that when you look back on a body of songs or body of lyrics, there is a sort of cohesiveness and maybe certain themes that are moving through it that weren't a part of what you were consciously going for. It's just ideally you get out of the way and let things move through you. And as far as the lyrics of that song, there's something leaning towards the mythical, and also it can mean multiple things and even contradictory things at once. It's all for you. What is it? Who are you? Is it the music? Are you the listener? Is you more sort of preoccupied or with something divine? It feels like it's all those things at once, but it's it's a lyric that just emerged out of the music. Those words probably wouldn't have come that way in that order if they hadn't been inspired by trying to intuitively find a way into that music, which is how sometimes the lyrics emerge.
Yeah. With not asking you to give anything away that you don't want to on lyrically, but with how you're saying that, are you aware of exactly what they're meaning in the moments?
Sometimes, sometimes there's a specific story in mind. There's maybe some sort of narrative arc that's informing the shape of the lyrics. Sometimes they're much more free associative or impressionistic. Sometimes it's a broader lyric that's based on just a line that was appealing because of the way it felt in the mouth or the way it sang. So it's sometimes, yeah, sometimes there's a circumstance or a story in mind. With songs like Blur or even parts of Come of Age. But in other cases, it's maybe a collage of images or impulses that hopefully cohere. But yeah, it varies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how many the more and more I hear about it, how many of my favorite, especially lyricists, we place so much weight on them after the fact. I've got Stipe behind me here, and he was really famous for that. Like, he would just think of stuff, throughout his life and write down these little lines, and then suddenly it's like, do these fit in, the moldings that I'm singing? And then here's a song where you have a bunch of people like me going, that's really beautiful. What's that about?
Well, I mean, I truly feel like, beyond the words themselves, I can't really tell you what a song is about or what it means. It means, the the melody combined with the broader musical composition and the words. Like, people say, what does a song mean? I really genuinely feel like it's beyond the words themselves. It's none of my business what the song means.
Yeah. Well, they certainly feel good, and I'll say that about this record. Glasswing might be my favorite, at least right now. And I'd actually just love to hear anything about this song, because the sound of it, what you guys are doing, the molding, it's everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that one started just with some samples and some Oberheim synth and some really lo-fi drum samples that just were kind of dumb and just also it's a 2-chord jam, and I'm a really big fan of 2-chord jams like Prince's The Cross, just love that song, how he builds a whole song, a long song out of 2 chords, or MIA, paper, or what's it called?
Paper Airplanes. Yeah, yeah.
And so that, I think that was Princess working with 2 chords to see what we could do. And yeah, so it evolved like that.
Yeah, the 2 chord song, Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. Well, they kind of go to another chord in that one part, but yeah, I love that. Yeah, then there's that, that song is packed with surprises. There's the synth solo, the Keytar solo, which I get to play.
Yeah,
which I
amazing Keytar moment in that song.
Thanks. And then there's
it's a broad moment.
It's a broad, and then the way that when it ends, it sort of drops and then it sort of brings again to the outro, which was our mix engineer Brandon Boast, who not to boast, but he's got a pretty impressive resume. So we threw that in there. But yeah, just beautiful piece of music.
Also, I can say there was something that happened around the writing of that I don't really want to go into because it was a band thing, but it felt like one of those songs that we worked on collectively to come to a new understanding of a situation that was kind of an inflection point, at least for me. And the song felt like a therapeutic way to deal with that. I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but it felt like it sort of helped a situation that we were dealing with. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's certainly, in hindsight, when you first mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah, oh that's why that song came to be. Yeah,
it's kind of our some kind of monster Metallica moments. But kind of.
That's so many it's almost cliche when they say therapy through music, but it keeps happening for a reason. But really, that's one of those songs. That's one of those songs where I bet I've hit play on that sucker a dozen times over the past few days, and every single time the way it just kind of washes over you. I mean, it feels good, which is a really cool thing, to have in it. And those, like I said, I think those emotions are all over the record, and honestly, Michael, even when I don't understand what you're singing about, it doesn't exactly matter. Was it the Big Audio Dynamite? And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, of course.
No,
Yeah, Big Audio Dynamite. Was it Rush and the breakdown where he's like words and melody, or, that whole thing? It's like that's how I feel. It's that rhythm and melody, and there's so much on this. So anyway, it's not a question; it's just a compliment that I keep throwing your way.
Nice.
I'm glad you feel that way. I think I feel the same about a lot of the lyrics. They remained kind of mystifying to me.
But if I can say that one lyrically, verses are I think it's the first time we ever really talk about butterflies in our lyrics, actual describing butterflies.
The first verses are just basically comprised of an arrangement of different names of butterfly types, and then it evolves or transitions as I guess is appropriate when you're talking about butterflies into something else.
Like I said, it's great, and maybe this is one of those obvious questions that probably comes around, but seeing how all of you all met sort of on stage and with that part of your life, because I don't know, maybe it's just because I know that the music feels theatrical, but does that become part of it? Is that just a natural thing then, or do you guys kind of allow that to go there on purpose?
Yeah, what I don't disagree, but I also, what do you mean when you say theatrical?
It plays, but I don't. What do I mean when I say theatrical? Because that's one of those feelings that I have in it.
Right.
The big moments seem bigger. If that, it even though that as we're talking that it isn't a storyline, it seems picturesque. It seems filmatic in a way. All of that stuff. And again, maybe that's just me imposing because I know your backgrounds and stuff. And that's what I wonder is like, is that me or is that something you guys go, of course, that's us. Let's put that in there.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's definitely, I mean, we certainly, don't huddle up and say, let's be theatrical. But yeah, there's probably, um, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I definitely think that it's good driving music. It's good landscape music. It's good sort of like taking in the expanse music. Um, so maybe that's more cinematic than theatrical, but I
Yeah.
do, it's hard when you're inside it to have any sense of what it sounds like to somebody who isn't, but it does seem, if nothing else, very visual in its way.
Yeah. And the music videos, by the way, the compliments on that, because those are fun to watch as we're speaking about visually and what you guys get to play around with that. Does this put you all on double duty? I know, well, like hell, Blondie's going to be here in Louisville here in a few weeks. So I know that's, happening in your all's life. I mean, is everybody sort of playing double duty with this band in your regular lives at the moment?
Yeah, that seems fair. I think we all have other stuff going on, and we all definitely prioritize Princess as a thing we're doing and make time for. But yeah, it's I mean, it's my favorite band that I'm in. Don't tell my other band, but yeah, it's it.
And I loved Morningwood, by the way. I should
Thank
say
you.
that.
Thank you.
Loved Morning. I was my wife was less familiar, and I was playing her some of the stuff the other day, and she goes, "How did I miss this?" And so I think she's been sort of going down that rabbit hole. And so,
Thank you, man. Makes me feel good. Yeah, that was
well, I so hope to hear more of this, and I really do. And actually, what did I write down? Take Me Home. Speaking here more, is there more of that song? Because I guess what I mean was the file I had just sort of ends abruptly, and that's what I was wondering. Is there more,
No,
or is
that's
that
how
the
it
file
ends.
I have?
That was intentional, the way it ended. It's very abrupt.
Yeah, it's like somebody just came in and pulled the plug on it.
I thought, no, this is great.
Yeah, well, maybe we should find a way when we play it live to let it live beyond that.
That's a good part. I meant to grab this a minute ago. And I'll jump off here, by the way. But I was because that digital file I was looking at it, and I don't know why, but I thought, this is your album, and it looked really beautiful. And so I printed that out as an own little piece of artwork. I've never
Wow,
done
that's
that, by the
cool.
way. Yeah.
it's really
I
cool.
love that. What's the highlighted one?
That's the song I was on at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Those are our waves.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
We should make ourselves one of those.
I thought, oh, it's great. Print that out. Seriously, come of age. This is such a good record, and again, I've been a fan from you guys from the starts, but I really love where you're going with it. Congrats on this, and thank you all for taking the time to talk about it. I really do appreciate it.
We love
Thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it too. Thank you.
We hope to get to Louisville too.
All right.
For sure.
All right.
Thanks, Kyle.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.